Hi and welcome to the Hidden Div. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to add a header to your website. So to begin with, we're going to go to the Hello tab on the WordPress dashboard and we're going to select Theme Builder from the drop down. So what we want to do next is in the top right corner, click Add New and select Header. You get a list of template options here, but we're just going to close this and create our own. So to begin with, we want to click the plus button in the center of the page and select Flexbox and click the first option. So what we'll do at this point is we will start setting up the box itself, the container. So what we want to do is we're going to keep this as a boxed content width, and we're going to select our width as 1400 pixels for this example. What we're then going to do is we're going to add a bit of padding to this, just so that everything's not kind of touching the edge of the pages or the top of the page, for example. So what we'll do for this example is I'm going to select the padding at the top as 20 pixels, and to the right I'm actually going to put 100 pixels, and also on the left. And my reason for doing this is that if we go to a smaller screen size, like laptop for example, we can have the designers being given a little bit of padding so it's not touching the very edges of a laptop screen, for example. So what I'm then going to do is add a new element, and we are going to go with image and choose image, and we're going to select our site logo. So as you can see, this is way too big at the moment, so what we'll do is we'll select the Advanced tab and we're going to do a custom width, and we're going to set that as pixels, and we're just going to make this 100 pixels wide for now. Maybe yeah, we'll stick with 100 just for this tutorial. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to add a background color to this container. I want to use a nice dark color for this to match my branding. Go a little bit darker than that. I think that's probably a good amount. We're then going to go back to the image tab and we're going to give this a little bit of a border just to style it. So we're going to go to border, select border type as solid, give that 2 pixels, select the border color as white, and we're just going to put the border radius as 250 for this example. So if you can see, we've now got a little bit of a border surrounding our image. Ideally the image I uploaded would have had a bit of a border anyways, but at least with this example I can control where it does and doesn't have a white border. So what we've now done is got our logo up here. What I might do is actually add a bit of text to it for this example. So we've got the image here and we're going to put this within another container. So we'll select container for this, and we will put the image inside of it. And what we'll do for this purpose is we'll go back to the container advanced settings and we're going to remove the padding just so that it can hug right against the logo, and we're not got, extra padding on here making this, this header section larger than it needs to be. And what we're going to do as well is we're going to set the width of this element. If we go along to content width, we're going to select, from the drop down, I'm going to select the little pencil tool at the bottom, and this allows us to add our own. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set that to fit hyphen content. And as you can see, that's now just hugged right up against this, so it's essentially taking up the full size of the logo itself. So next what we're going to do is go back to the add element and we're going to select heading, and I'm just going to put this as hidden div, and we can then go to the style tab and change this to white. So what we can do now is go back to the container that holds these two, and what we're going to actually do is go to the layout tab and select direction and row horizontal as the option. So you can see these are now sitting side by side. At the minute the text is kind of at the very top there, which isn't great. So I'm actually going to center this off. Same again, I can also upload a logo that's got the text already added, as this isn't my website font, but just for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to show you how you could add, some text up here if you wanted to. So this logo is probably actually a little bit big for this, so I'm going to go back to this tab and I'm going to reduce it down to 90. And then I'm actually going to make this text a little bit bigger, so I'm just clicking back into the heading option here, and I'm going to go typography. I'm going to make the weight as bold. I'm going to change my font to Poppins, and let's just play around with the font size as well. That's a bit too big, also quite big. We'll stick with this at the moment. We'll go with the 36 just for this example, but I'll probably remove the text anyways. It's just to show an example of what can be done. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're also going to add in a menu for your website. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can do this manually by creating a list, but the best way to do this is to actually have a WordPress menu created and to pull that in instead. So what we'll do for this example is we'll go add, and we will add a menu, and as you can see, there's a couple of options here, WordPress menu being one of them. So I actually don't have a WordPress menu set up at the moment, so I'll have to go and add one. So firstly, what I'll do is I'll just separate these two containers, and I'm going to go to the main container that holds both of them, click layout, and select these as horizontal as well. And I'm also going to select space between, just so that they both kind of take up the full vertical width of the page, and they're not kind of both left aligned, if that makes sense. So what I can do is I can hit publish on this at the moment, select add condition, and then include entire site. So that means that this header is now going to be shown on every single page on your website. So that is now published, and what we can do is we can select this tab up here, which, as you can see, there's currently nothing on, and we can click refresh. As you can see, the header's pulling in, but there's nothing shown for the WordPress menu. That's because we haven't actually created one yet. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the header section, and I'm just going to click at the top here and exit with WordPress. I'm going to hold Control here to open this up in a new tab, just so that we can quite easily pop back to this. But I've now opened this up in the separate tab, and I am going to go to Appearance and Menus. So this is where your WordPress menu sits. At the moment, nothing really exists here, and the reason we created this way is because it essentially allows us to apply the same menu without having to manually add it again. So what we're going to do is call this menu, let's see, header menu, and display locations is going to be the header, and create menu. So now we'll have some options on the side here, and what we're going to do is, because we haven't got any pages created, I'm actually going to create these as custom links. So the first one, I'm just going to put a / for the link, because that'll take you to the home page, and we're going to type in home. So now, as you can see, that's added our first category, our first menu item. And we can just do the same for this. So because we've got no pages created at the moment, I'll not add any URLs, but like what you would do is you would just find out what that page is and then add the URL manually for this example. Or if you have got a page created, you can just select the page in there. But for this example, I'll just leave it blank. So I'm just going to leave that empty, and I'm going to type in about. Wants me to add something in here, I will just add a hashtag. So there we go, about, and then we can have a contact. We can also have a store link, which can go up here, and then finally I'm just going to do a tutorials link. So there we go, we'll add that as well. So the tutorials can come first. What you can actually do as well, you can actually have these sit as a drop-down menu as well. So for example, if I wanted, store to be a a drop down link of tutorials, I can just drag this across slightly as you see there, and then see it kind of nests within it. So this becomes the parent and this becomes the child. But for this example, I'm going to move it back across because I want it to be part of the main menu and not a sub menu item. So we can just click Save Menu here, and that is now completed. We've created our header, and so we can now close this link and go back to our header section. So if we select from the header here, click back onto our WordPress menu, we might actually have to refresh the page here because this was created before we added our menu. Oh, there you go. You can see at the top now, it's now pulling in the menu items that I've created. So what we can now do is go through this and just style this a little bit. So we can click the Style tab here, change the text color to white. I'm going to go back to the content and I'm going to remove the pointer for now, which is the little underline item that comes up there. I just don't think we need that for the stand at the moment. So in the drop down you can also see there's a mobile drop down menu, and this is for our screen sizes for when we go to tablet and mobile, for example. But what we're going to do is I'm going to actually remove the breakpoint from this one because I'm going to add my own, which I'll show you in another video. But we're going to add our own mobile menu option to this, so I'm going to select that as none. And we're also going to go to the advanced tab and we're going to center align this with itself just so it kind of centers off nicely and looks a bit neater. I'm just going to go back to the style tab and add a little bit of a hover effect to the text as well. What we can do is actually, let's just make this a slight off-white, maybe a little bit more. So this is just like a bit of an off-white color now. Well, it's actually transparency I've added to it, so but it just gives that little off-white appearance against the background. So what I'm going to do is then select the hover effect, and I'm just going to select that as white. So what happens now is we now have a little bit of a subtle hover effect to these now. So what we'll do is we'll make a few adjustments to the screen size, and then we'll get this published. So firstly, I'm going to go to tablet. As you can see, this is all a little bit squashed here. So we're going to go to the container, and we're going to set the top, we'll keep this 20 and we'll just put 50 on the side for now. As you can see, this is still quite, still getting squashed quite a bit. So at this point what we can do is actually start to look at how we would add in our mobile menu. I can cover this in another video, but what we'll do is basically add in an icon, and this would link to a pop-up that we can do on the page to create our own mobile menu, but I'll cover that in another video. But for the purpose of this video, we've kind of just added in the header, and we've kind of reduced the padding for the different screen sizes. So I'll go down to mobile as well, and for this I'm just going to keep all as 20 to kind of tidy it up a little bit. So we're going to publish this now, and as you can see, we've now got our header live. So that's all for this video, and what I'll do is I'll create a follow-up video showing you how to add in the mobile header for a burger menu to basically for smaller screen sizes. Thanks for watching.